Well, hello again. It's Sunday, October 29th, and it is snowing here in Pueblo. It's not very sunny today. Normally, it's pretty sunny in Pueblo, Colorado, but sometimes we get some weather. And so we're just doing our best to stay warm and all that fun stuff. But I'm coming to you with our live card class, the Extra Meandering Meadow. We're going to do one card today. It's a definitely stepped up version using the Meandering Meadow suite and that gorgeous paper. But I do want to remind you that there's only less than 3 days, closer to 2.5 days left to take advantage of that join special. So if that's something you're thinking about at all, feel free to reach out to me and I'll answer any questions I can. I'll help you set your account up if you need that and all of the wonderful stuff, because that join special is the best I've seen. And I've seen a few in the time that I've been with Stamping Up. So it's 35% off. So that would be $64.35 plus tax. And that gets you $125 worth of product of your choice, plus some business supplies, including catalogs. Or you can get 35% more, which costs $99 plus shipping, plus tax. Shipping is always free on your starter kit. And that gets you $168.75 in product that you get to choose from, plus those business supplies, including catalogs, which can include the entire Meandering Meadow suite, except one item, which is currently unavailable. But it will come back. We have been assured that is the type of thing that definitely, if it's on our flyer, we'll definitely, at least once for sure, bring it back. So they will be coming back, I promise, especially since they haven't been released to the public yet and won't be until November 7th. So this is one of the only ways to get it ahead of time. The other is to get some of the product by getting this week's free with purchase class for $35 using the host code right. Scrolling down below. Oh, by the way, what do you think of my new shirt? It's pretty awesome. I love it. Who knew that buying just one little rubber stamp set would lead to all of this? I certainly didn't, but I'm glad I did. That's for sure. Okay, well, let's get into the class. Stop wasting time here. Once again, if you do have questions, reach out to me. And let me change my layout so you get to see. This is the cards we did on Wednesday. And the supplies for this is what you will get if you decide to take advantage of that free with purchase class. It includes the cardstock, the designer series paper, and enough of the embellishments to complete 2 of each of these 3 cards. So, as I said, it is certainly possible to get some of it right away. The other best way is, of course, by taking advantage of that amazing join special. And just on the inside of each card, I had a little sentiment. I did not want to take up the beauty of this gorgeous paper on the front of this card by putting a sentiment in there. And that's why I chose to do these this way, because these landscapes are absolutely beautiful. It's my understanding that the artist who designed them used oil pastels in order to do them. So the card we're making today is going to be fun, and I mean fun. So it starts using the arch. It's a different paper than the other 3 featured. And on the inside, when it opens up, it's a pop-up card. So we have a little wheelbarrow, pops up, and it, of course, says thinking of you at the top. Plenty of space to write your message. And I changed the coloring on the one that we're going to do today just a little bit. But it is fun for sure and fairly easy to do, but definitely stepped up. So I'm going to put those aside for the moment. And the paper we're going to be using for today's comes in this gorgeous pack of 6x6 paper with all of the beautiful landscapes and some fun backgrounds as well on the back page, the B side. Not going to go through them too slow because we did get a nice look at them on Wednesday. So if you really want a deep look, go to that video and rewatch it or watch it. But the landscapes are really absolutely beautiful, and the other sides are also pretty awesome as well. And we'll be using this last sheet in our design today, just the front side. But that's the back. All right. Get that out of the way. We are going to start with cardstock that is cut the long way. So I scored it at the 5.5 and cut it at 4 1/4. And we're going to use a few things. We're going to use this die that comes with the bundle of the Meandering Meadow. And we're going to cut out a nice little hole right about there, centered on the front of the card with that. And then we're also going to do the same thing on that sheet of paper. So it got centered about there when I did the cutting. Excuse me while I get things that are falling down on me. And then gives us a lovely little sheet that looks like this once it's cut out. And then I have all of this paper to use for something else if I want. And I will, because it's beautiful paper. Then we're going to take, I'm assuming we had to cut the arch out of this one. We're going to take the front of that card and put it inside our exposed brick embossing folder. I lined up the crease with the top-ish area of the embossing bits on this embossing folder, closed it down, turned it around, and ran it through the embossing folder, and ended up with this beautiful specimen. Okay, so our interior, I should make sure I have this cut right. I'm pretty sure I do, but let me double check. Should be 4 inches wide and the full 11 inches long, and it is. We are also going to need to score this in a few different places. You can do this on, the scoring tool, or you can use the scorer on your trimmer, which is how I elected to do this. We're going to basically, if you wanted to do it the whole way, let me see if I can make this work in my little space here that I have. We'll extend our arm a bit, but I'm not going to do that because it's just not a good fit for this. So I'll just show you the way to do it without extending. So we're going to line this up at that 4-inch mark, and using our scoring blade, we're going to go 1, and then I'm going to go another. Did I do that wrong? I might have done that wrong. I did. Oops. All right. We're going to do it to 4.5, not 4. We'll ignore that first line for this card. Then we're going to go another inch. So it'll be 5.5. Okay. And then we're just going to turn it around and do it at 4.5 on this side. Okay. Pretty easy. The fun part is going to be when we insert it into our card. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fold this top one this way, and I want my bone folder out for it. And make sure I'm getting my lines nice and creased. The better you crease this, the better it's going to be when you place it in the card for the card to go ahead and open up, but also stay closed. Then we're going to, so we did this one this way. The second one, we want to go the opposite way. So like an accordion, we're going to be like doop, doop, doop. Okay. And so we got this one going up and this one going down. No, I'm doing it slightly wrong, of course, but we can have it this way anyway. So, okay. And then this one, we're going to fold back this way as well. Okay. All right. So when you place it in your, it's going to have a little step here, right? So we're going to put some glue on our embossed section, and look at how beautiful that is with the exposed brick. But before we get there, I did use a, couldn't find my other blending brushes, but I used this. I got some pecan pie, because that's the paper I'm using, ink, and just kind of brushed over it with this. You can use a finger dauber, you can use a sponge. The key being, you don't want to just go straight out. When you first ink it up, you want to tap it off onto something, and then you're going to give it a little brush and to the level that you want it to go. All right, so now I'm going to take and put some adhesive on. You want to be closer to the edges of the cutout and not the edges of the paper, because it's not going to be complete. So this was not ideal on this side, but we'll make it work. All right. So I just want to do this one side first. I want to have my sides even and my exit out to the paper just about that much, which is about 1/8 of an inch. When I like it, I'm going to go ahead and push it down. Okay. So then for this next one, I'm going to put my adhesive on the Berry Vanilla. And I do want this to be down pretty good, so I'm going to make sure I have plenty to go on it. Okay. But in order to make this really look right, I need to kind of play with it a little bit. So I'm not letting the adhesive touch the cardstock until I'm ready for it to go down. But I have to pull up the back part a bit in order to get my alignment right. So I'm just kind of getting that same border side to side and bottom. Once I have it where I want it, then I'm going to drop it down and press it in. And it's also good, again, to make sure that you've gotten a good adhesion all the way. So the front looks a little funny. I get that. So we have a couple of options. One is we can give a complete closure this way. And I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to adhere my panel of designer series paper to the cutout, the interior cutout of the pecan pie cardstock. Line it up good so that I don't have little bits sticking out. This is just going to give it more stability when it's sitting on the Berry Vanilla from the interior. And that way, when this part is exposed, it's not as wimpy, I guess would be the right word. All right, I'm going to put dimensionals on the back and a couple in the center there. I'm going to not put this on yet because I want to stamp my sentiment. And I'm going to be using the Thinking of You and the Berry Bushel ink. And I want it to be centered and near the top, which is why normally I would do this before I adhered this. But I've already made a few mistakes, so what's one more, right? So you just want to be very careful. You're centering it up and touching down and lifting back up. There we go. That's nice. I like that. I'm going to get my Stampin' Chamois and clean my stamp. I do need to wash this, but the darker patches, those are permanent. So as I wash it, it's not going to be leaking any ink from those because those are just stains. It doesn't hurt it. It doesn't prevent it from doing its job. It just is a stain. That's all. All right. I got that one done, but I also want to make my little basket on the bottom and my little shadow for the basket. And I want to use my basic gray, which I had hidden over here, of course. The best plan, right? And for me, I kind of want to put my basket down first and then do my shadow. So I'm going to get my basket, tap it up, and you can also do this in basic black if you like. I'm going to put it down here in this little corner here. Lift up. I like that. Not that it would matter at this point. Oops, nope, can't put that away yet because we need our little splotch. And I don't know why, but I think I preferred having the more solid line at the top and the other part at the base. So that's what I did. We're also on a blank sheet of, what's the word? Very vanilla cardstock. Going to stamp, I've already done it, so, and cut it out with the machine, but we need the wheelbarrow. Excuse me while I grab that out. There we go. So I did the first time I used the basic gray, but the second time I used the Memento black, and I think I preferred the Memento black for this application, and then I used the die that's shaped like the wheelbarrow to cut it out in my machine, and ended up with a lovely, let me find it, there it is, it's hiding, ended up with that. Okay, so what we're going to do is, I have this lovely grip mat that I got, and just started using it today. You can affix it to any, surface, but I didn't need it for this application to be fixed to a specific surface. So I'm just going to peel the one edge up, and I'm going to start with my card. I'm going to just press it down. It's photopolymer, so it's just kind of sticky, and hold on to it. It's kind of fun. And then I'm going to start with the basket, and I'm going to use my Pecan Pie Stampin' Write markers. You can use the blends if you prefer. You're going to get a softer look, but I wanted more saturation of color. And so that's why I chose to use the Stampin' Write markers. And so I'm just kind of getting a little bit of a outline first. I don't want to be coloring over bits that shouldn't be colored over. And then once I have my outline, I'm going to fill in the bits that are a little more not as direct, and just coloring it in. Really pretty like that. And I think this is the top edge of the basket, so I'm going to put that in as well. There we go. That's the basket. Now what I found is, because these are so dark, I like having my basic black to add more color and depth to this dark spots. So the centers of these little flowers and the leaves. It just makes it more defined when I add the color to it. Now keep in mind, as the ink dries, the color does get a bit lighter as well, and that helps too. All right. Now let's add a little bit on these guys too, just to show the lines of the basket. Pretty good. There we are. All right. So that was the basic black. Originally on this card, I used Pretty Peacock for the leaves, and I just felt they were a bit too dark. If I'd use blends and use the light one, that might have been fine. And I did use Blueberry Bushel on the flowers, and Fresh Freesia on these flowers. But I think I'm going to use Lost Lagoon for the leaves. And then I may do some of the flowers in Blueberry Bushel and some in Miss Moonlight, and see what I like better. So I am going to use the brush tip for the leaves, and just being careful not to go into the other bits, but not having to make sure I've completely filled it in, if that makes sense. Being a little sloppy is actually okay as long as you're kind of more in the lines than out of the lines. But having bits that aren't fully shaded is what I'm saying is okay. Because the more you try and get to the absolute edge, the more chance you'll have of bleed over. And as you can see, that's definitely more visible of the leaf line art with the Lost Lagoon. So let's start with the Misty Moonlight on the flowers. I'm going to do this outside one here a little bit, and maybe this one in here a little bit. And this one out here. Yeah, and then I think we'll do the rest in Blueberry and see if there's truly a major difference. And again, I'm just making sure I'm not going too far outside or too close to the outside lines, or even necessarily the interior. And I'm just barely using the tip. Actually, I'm not even seeing a huge difference. I have to look really closely to see the difference between the Misty Moonlight and the Blueberry Bushel. But still, not too bad. All right, so the stamping and the coloring on the inside of the card is done. And it just comes off really easy, but it didn't move around. That's really the important bit. So here is my wheelbarrow. Let me see, where did, there. So what I found on this one is I used the same basic gray, and you couldn't see the line art, so I wasn't very happy with it. So we're going to go ahead and do the handles in basic black, and I'm using the bullet tip for that. Actually, I'm going to switch over to the brush tip. Bullet tip is not working as well. And then I also want to get the wheel itself, but that's all I'm going to use the basic black for. And this one I definitely use the brush tip for. Just kind of getting in those lines. And again, you're shooting to kind of be up to the line, but you don't want to get in past the line at all. Once you've got a nice enough border, you just fill it in the rest of the way. There we go. And that's the black. So then what I decided is I wanted the main part of the wheelbarrow to be a bit lighter. So I did some experimenting, and I decided I liked smoky slate for that. And then I went ahead and used the basic gray to get this dark rolled edge and the other metal parts. After that, I'm pretty sure I used the bullet tip, so let's get back into that a little bit here. And I'm not going to do the whole thing, especially with the flowers, because you don't want to sit here and watch me. So then I would do the same thing on these bits. Okay. And then I use the brush tip for the body of the wheelbarrow in the smoky slate, which gives it a nice two-tone look, since, you know, the rolled edges and the other metal, they're going to be a deeper color just because they have more concentrated material, I guess would be the right word. So again, I'm just being gentle around those edges so that I'm not coloring in on those leaves where I didn't want them to be. Right, and coming down through here and just filling in, and just be mindful of kind of going in the same direction. That way you're not going to have a whole lot of brush strokes, which is one of the benefits of using the blends over the Stampin' Write markers. But again, I'm going to be filling in the centers of the flowers and the lines on the leaves with the black. Oops. And get the ones up there too a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to do just a few of the leaves with my Lost Lagoon, just like we did on the basket. You get that idea, and then you can choose if you want to just go straight to the Misty Moon or if you want the blueberry bushel on the flowers. I'll do a few of those just so you can kind of see how it comes out. All right. What I really want to show you, though, is these little bits here. So I took my Highland Heather, not fresh freesia. My Highland Heather, and I just kind of did a little shading into the areas where the color lines are that are showing you where the blossoms would be. And again, I'm having some space in the vanilla that isn't colored in, just, not being sloppy, but not being super duper, making sure every little bit is covered. Once it's done, it looks like this. And again, that came off super easy. And I'm done with my grip mat. So I'm going to go ahead and put the sleeve back over it. And then I am going to put the rest of my card together. Now, I did play with a couple of ideas for my pop-up area here. I thought, well, what if I put a basket up here and then, I liked it out here, but then what is it landing on? It's kind of floating there. And even back there, I just didn't really like it as much. And then I cut this watering can and all of that fun stuff. My die cut went awry, so I have to use the back side of it. And then I tried this lovely boot. And I don't know. I think it's too much. It's also not enough. So I'm going to go ahead and once I find it, because I had it right all here. It's so fun when things decide to go missing. And there we go. No, that's the one I just was handling. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to find it because my sentiment is with all of those things. Maybe it's underneath this? No? Okay, there's the sentiment at least. All right. All right, well, we'll just let those other choices go. But I did race stamp on the gray, the watering can, and things like that. And I think I am just going to go ahead and stick with the finished wheelbarrow. And I'm just going to put some adhesive. I'm using my Stamp and Seal. There's enough surface to be using that. And I'm just barely going above the wheel line mark. I don't want any of that sticking out in the middle. So I'm going to grab it. I'm going to lay this down. It's not flat. It's not going to go flat. But I want to line it up before with the crease just above it, and so that the wheel and the base of the wheelbarrow is saddled. And I just barely pressed on it at this point. And since I'm liking it and happy with where it is, I'm going to close the whole thing and rub. In fact, you can come in with your bone folder too. And this is just going to really just seal that in place so that when you open the card, it opens and pops up, which I love. Okay, now we're going to place our panel over here. So I've put dimensionals on, which you watched me do. I'm going to take the backings off and place it in place. And I'm really just making sure it is within that little hole that was created by doing there we go. And then I took one of the diving birds and I placed it in flight, heading down into the flowers to see what it can get what kind of trouble it can get into. Because that's always fun, right? I'm not sure where my actual Stampin' Up snips are, so I'll just use these little guides, and I did a little fussy cutting around this, kind of like a bubble. Not hard to do. Move the paper, not the scissors. Don't try and be a perfectionist on this, because that's the fastest way to start messing up a bit, because then you have to fix things that you were created trying to fix something else, and that's not a fun thing. All right. And then I'm going to use a couple of mini dimensionals. Actually, I'm going to use one full size and one mini. This is big enough for full size there, but this is not on this end. And I'm going to put this away. Put this away. Yay. Take my backings off. Oh, thank you, Cassie. All right, and then I'm just going to put it down here. I didn't want to cover up too much of the scenery, which is why I went with the fussy cutting around the hello. And so now you have this lovely card with this gorgeous exposed brick embossing happening. And you can see it. I think it really livens up the card a lot more. I thought about it, of course, after I started putting this one together, and I'm all like, yep, I think I want to try that, and I'm glad I did. And when they open up, you've got the little basket on the bottom, you've got the wheelbarrow popping up, and you're thinking of you on the top side, which I love. So if you like it, please let me know. If you have ideas on what you would like to do different, I would also love to know that, just because it helps generate ideas and all of that good stuff. Oh yeah, let's just leave this one out for you. You can observe it while I say goodbye for the day. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you coming and watching the video. And the other cards that are free with purchase to make, the card kits essentially, are just those lovely ones. Comes enough supplies to make 2 each of these 3 cards with that $35 base purchase. And don't forget, the only way to get this paper, or at least this, much of it, is either through that purchase, or you can order the whole paper pack yourself along with the bundle, which includes dies and stamps, and there's a ribbon that goes with this suite as well. The only other way to get all of those until November 7th is to join my Stampin' Up team, and I can help you make those choices so that you get those products if that's what you want. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait until November 7th, and I can say for sure the dragonflies and butterflies are currently unavailable. There's no current date that we're expected back, if I recall correctly, but they will be bringing it back. And I have a feeling that the paper is also going to become unavailable very soon after release, similar to what happened with the All About Autumn paper. So the way to make sure you get it is to join really right now. And as long as you do that joining by October 31st at midnight Mountain Standard Time, then you will be able to order those products and make sure that you have at least some of them before they go to the public and potentially get sold to the point where we have no more inventory and have to, I'm sure they've already probably got an order in, but you'll have to wait for that order to arrive and all of that fun stuff. And I don't want you to have to do that, especially if you really love this paper like I do. And it is so fun to work with. It's so easy because it is beautiful in and of itself, creating those scenes and things like that. And I'll be doing more with it as we get done. But next week, we're actually starting our Christmas card series. We got 3 cards already designed. I'll give you a sneak peek of one of them. Okay, you ready? There we go. Isn't that cute? I think it's adorbs. And then there's 2 others to go with that. It's using the Merry Bold and Bright paper and the Sending Cheer Stamps and Dies bundle. And it's a lot of fun. We're also using the Merry and Bold stamps for part of it too, but mostly it's the sending cheer. So if you're interested in that, come back on Wednesday, 4:00 Mountain Time. We'll be doing our live, and I'll be showing how to make those cards, and you can get the supplies to make 2 each of those for free by making that $35 purchase as well. I hope you have a great day. If you are in the Colorado, Wyoming, I don't know how much else has snow, please be safe out there. It's not too bad here in Pueblo, but it's definitely the more north you go, more significant the amount of snow and dangers on the road. So be careful, stay warm, have some hot chocolate if that's your fancy, and have a great day.